Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now this is not gameplay this week. We would have had a video out over at the jail, but unfortunately our debutante cameraman returned no footage. We think it's probably a technical error, so we're going to go through and check all of the cameras. Now on this video we're going to be launching a new SKU on our video lineup. We've done gameplay, both short and long, from major events, multi-part videos from the AI 500 series, as well as other weekend events we have attended, and we've also looked at reviews, both in-depth reviews, some for fun where we've been just shooting sparkles because that's fun. We did the Batman and Robin test, we did the Sasquatch test, and we also worked very closely with our sponsor battlezoneairsoft.com to do some videos in the shop of all of the new products that he's got, and to delve into some of the great knowledge that Gordon has about airsoft and all the accoutrement that goes along with it. So what we're going to be doing this time is starting off nice and easy to introduce our new SKU, that is Tech Squash. Now I'm going to be doing the first one, but going forward we're going to be delving into the knowledge of one of our newer members, which is Tango Sierra 06 Ratchet. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to airsoft weaponry, radios, all the tech that goes into airsoft. He spends all his time on forums and searching through websites, so he's going to be a wealth of knowledge. We will be delving into guns, rifles, pistols, rocket launchers, pyro, anything you can imagine over time. But we're just going to start off with something simple, just to get this new SKU of videos out there. And if there's anything in particular that you would like to see, anything you'd like us to go through, anything that you think to yourself, you know what, I've seen lots of videos on YouTube but nothing really gets in deep, let us know. Let us know either on the YouTube channel, on Facebook, we've got Instagram now. Let us know what you would like to see tech-wise, and we will do our very best to give you that. Before we begin, I want to make something perfectly clear. We will take zero responsibility if you hurt yourself, break your gun, damage any of your own equipment. We are learning all of this stuff as we go along. We will do our best to make it as accurate as possible, but to make it very, very plain, very, very clear, we will take zero responsibility. If you follow our guides, they are just for reference. Please make sure you are safe and you watch through the videos, go to multiple sources before you attempt any upgrades, repairs, swaps, anything at all. Now to begin with, we're going to be doing something very, very straightforward, and that is mounting a camera mount to a baseball cap. Sounds silly, I know, but with the guys going to AI 500's new event up in Manchester in a few weeks' time, a lot of people have been asking, how did you attach that camera to your baseball cap? And we go through the process and so on and so forth, adding the backup battery and all those kind of bits and pieces. But because so many people have asked on the field, in the safe zone, and also within the team itself, we decided, let's kick off our new SKU of videos with this one. So let's have a look. Now as we go through this video, I'm going to be adding a little demonstration as to where you can find the products that we are using. Well, the majority of them anyway. Most of you know where to get a baseball cap from. And what we're ultimately looking to do is transform this into this. A baseball cap with a camera and backup battery mounted on it. Now we use the Mobius cam. We use them because we found them to be reliable for the most part, depending on who's using it. They are very economical on the battery, so a small backup battery would last you all day in a skirmish. And at 1080 the quality is actually quite good. So to begin with, we're going to look at what we need. We need a baseball cap, obviously, something to put on your head. We will be looking at a helmet at the end, but we're going to start off with a baseball cap. Now for the majority of the products is going to be eBay as your friend, but what you're going to need is a short USB cable. Now depending on what camera you use, obviously the attachment is going to be different, but we recommend using a 90-degree adapter and some heat shrink tape to make sure that's on there firm and no water can get in there. And these are all available on eBay. The other thing you're going to need is the camera itself. Now we like these cameras because they are very, very simple. A 64 gig memory card will last you all day. In fact, it will probably do a lot more than that, but if you forget to turn it off at lunchtime, it's always handy to have that extra bit of recording space. We've got these set up so that when you hit the power button, which is towards the back, it automatically starts recording. And if you want to know how to set up a Mobius cam to do this, please let us know and I will do a video on that. The front button is the recording button and the middle button changes the mode. You're also going to need a counterweight pouch. This is what you would get if you were running night vision. This one's from Emerson Gear, but they're also available from FMA and other places. A backup battery at 5,200 milliamp hours. This one lasts all day, and in fact I got an entire weekend out of it once. A leather punch. Now this is not 100% necessary, it just makes life a bit easier. A sharp knife. Make sure you cover your working surface. A little socket, depending on what size of bolt you're going to use. A flathead screwdriver, again depending on what type of bolt you're going to use. A Sharpie to do some marking out. The mount for your camera, as I said, we use the Mobius, so this is the sleeve for the Mobius. It has a tripod screw hole in the bottom. You're also going to need a particular type of screw, and this is called a 1/4-20 screw, and it's built for attaching things to tripods. There's a couple of different versions, a little short one which is just a screw, and then the black one is a tripod hot shoe mount. Now I threw a couple of little things all over the place there. That is the bolts for the 1/4-20 screw. They help to tighten it down, as well as a couple of nuts and bolts as small as you can go for the counterweight pouch, and then an assortment of washers. These will help pinch the material between the nut and bolt. Now the first thing we need to do is make sure we get our camera centered, and the easiest way to do that is to fold the peak of your cap in half, and then that allows you to quickly just mark the center with your handy Sharpie. Now the next bit is to make sure that the camera is far enough forward that the power cable can actually go into the camera and not be hitting you in the head. Now I'm going to put it in the camera, lay it on there, and then realise actually I can't mark this without putting the camera into the sleeve, and you can't do that with the cable attached. So now we've got that sorted out, we're going to lay it on there and make sure that the lens sticks out the front a little way. Again, this will move it off of your forehead so you don't have that cable attachment hitting you in the forehead, but also it will have the lens poking out the front of the camera. This means that when you go from different light sources, so if you go inside a building or a cloud comes over and blocks out the sun, that lens is still going to be able to pick up the light, and it's not going to keep constantly changing your white balance. Now here is our next section, and that is making a hole in the peak of the cap. I might speed this up a little bit, it is a little bit finicky, but what you don't want to do is make a great big hole. You want it just snug enough so that the 1/4 screw actually has to bite into the cap. Now you start it at one side, you move over to the other side to finish that hole off. We will be going backwards and forwards with this knife, so make sure you are very, very, very careful when using it. Open up that hole a bit, and with a little bit of jiggery pokery and cleaning up, you will be able to get that screw to thread through that hole. You want this to happen so it bites in nice and firm. If you create too big of a hole, your camera is going to move around no matter how much you tighten it down. So as you can see, I've started off and I'm going backwards and forwards to make sure that I've got the right fit, and it's just about doing this slowly and easing into it. Now at this point I've forgotten at what stage I'm at and where I've put the screw, so I go to put this one in until I get midway through putting it in and realise that it's too short. Now when we decide on a venue and have a proper setup for recording these videos, we're going to do a top-down camera. For this one I've got it slightly off to the side, and as you can see it's not the easiest thing in the world to keep in view. Now we've got that screw going backwards and forwards, it's able to screw in and out, and we're just going to tidy up a little bit any of the material or the plastic from the peak of the cap that's coming through. Again, be very careful, use a sharp knife. You can use a drill bit to go through this, but it's not 100% necessary, and occasionally the material does get bound up. Here we have our hot shoe mount, which would normally screw into a tripod or another part of your camera to give you a what is technically called a cold shoe mount, so you can attach flashes and things onto that. And that's now screwed all the way through into the peak of the cap. I'm going to take one of my 1/4 nuts, screw that on, and that is going to clamp between the nice large surface of the base of the cold shoe and the peak, and help us to position the camera correctly. Now if you get a long enough one, you can put 2 of these bolts on. The second one will allow you to screw down onto the camera and keep it facing in the right direction. Now as you may have noticed, these are not the easiest things to get out of the sleeve, which is good because it means that it's not going to fall out very easily as you're running around the airsoft field. You can then screw this on until it's nice and tight. Make sure it's facing the right way and make sure to clamp it down. The next thing we're going to attach is the counterweight pouch, and this is where your backup battery is going to sit. The first thing to do is make sure that all of the Velcro is inside the counterweight pouch. This is going to allow you more adjustability with the cap. So if you're going to pass it around different team members and everyone wants to share each other's sweat, you can do. Someone's got a slightly smaller head, you can adjust the cap and adjust the counterweight pouch to suit. And that's where it's going to go, just on the back there. Now what we're going to do now is, using our trusty Sharpie, is mark out the screw holes. Always remember to take the lid off your Sharpie first. You want to get it centered and you want to make sure those are kind of even. What you're going to notice here is that I don't, but that's okay because I'm not going to be wearing it. And we're going to use our leather punch to punch 2 holes, one either side, so that we can bolt on the counterweight pouch. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to go through the whole thing. You don't want to go through the inner lining as well that's around the brim of the cap. You just want to go through the outer layer, and this is important. The inner layer is going to allow you some comfort from the heads of those bolts that are going to be sticking through the cap. It's also going to give you somewhere to route your cable as well. Now, although I don't cut the inner lining to route the cable, it is something you can do. I still prefer to have it on the outside, because having a cable running through your cap is not always the most comfortable thing to do. So we're going to put a washer on our bolt and we're going to slide this through that hole. Now I've made the hole deliberately slightly smaller. Again, we want the bolt to grip. If it's too loose, it will move around and it will tear the fabric. So keeping it nice and tight and making the threads do the work is the best way to go. Now we add another washer, and again, this is to help it clamp to the material and stop it moving around and ripping. We're going to start off our first bolt. We're going to get that nice and tight using our socket. And what you're going to see on the second one is that it does get a little bit bound. There's a little bit of material inside the bolt threads. So I just use the Phillips head screwdriver and the socket just to tighten it up and just break through those threads. It can be a little bit fiddly, so make sure that you've got plenty of light, plenty of time, and you're not too hungover, and that will make life much, much easier. So here we have our cap pretty much done, so let's see how it all goes together. We're going to begin by remembering where we put everything, and as you may recall from earlier reviews, this is known as the messy desk for a reason. Now I add a little bit of hook and loop on the battery and it helps it stick into the counterweight pouch. It's very unlikely that it's going to move, but being the paranoid person that I am, I add a little bit of Velcro just to help it out. Now we're going to plug in our USB. As you can see, the 90-degree adapter helps it move and fit through the cap. Now here I'm feeding the cable into the inner headband of the baseball cap. Make sure you get it through the right way, otherwise it's quite difficult to then attach it to your camera. We attach it to the camera. We take it off again because I've realised I have to put it into the sleeve first. We finally plug in the USB and there we go. There is our hat fully done. We've got our camera mounted to the front. We've got our backup battery to the back. And if you are able to get a shorter cable, do some measuring, you're going to find it much more comfortable. But this is the cable that we have available to us. Now let's go ahead and have a look at mounting a camera to your helmet. You're going to need a couple of things. On the back is another counterweight pouch. It's very, very standard counterweight pouch. And you're also going to need an NVG adapter. Now you can get these for GoPros. I will put a link on the screen as to where you can get these. They're available in many different colours, different variants, but this is the one that I found that it works really well. So we've got our counterweight pouch on the back, set up in exactly the same way, just bolted on as you would do any other time, and we've got our NVG mount that goes onto a GoPro. A little piece of cable that I found randomly in a drawer. Again, because I'm paranoid, that allows me to attach it to the helmet, so I know if I'm running around it won't fall off. Now I am not a big fan of the GoPro screws. I find they stick out too far, so I've just added a normal bolt to it. There is a little GoPro adapter that goes to a 1/4 screw on the mount itself. Now if you've got your original NVG mount that came with your camera, I would suggest picking up a pack of mixed GoPro mounts that will allow you to then attach that to your NVG mount. It's very, very straightforward, as if you would attach any other GoPro accessory to any other GoPro mount. It works in exactly the same way, and this is a slightly cheaper option. Obviously you've got to get them lined up correctly, and if you buy the less than genuine GoPro mounts, they don't always have the best quality control. Now the benefit of this style is you can put the camera in many different orientations using all the different GoPro bits, and it allows you to really customize the way you add it to your helmet. So thank you very much for watching this video. It's the first from Sasquatch, our new style of video. Tango Sierra 06 Ratchet will be hosting many of these videos alongside me, and we will be able to delve much deeper into his knowledge. And here we have our finished setups. We've got my original baseball cap, the one we've just made, and our helmet. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.